And we welcome you to Nürburgring Nordschleife?
The
Nordschleife?
Nordschleife.
Nordschleife. We'll go with it. And this is round number two, race number two rather, of the Road and Plate Palm Rank Golf Series Season 6. We had a fantastic season opener last week at Talladega. Aaron Smith stealing the win away there, and it looks like, well, he may very well could go for two in a row here tonight. Fastest in qualifying so far. But before we get any further with that, I'm Joshua Coppernoll. I have Olivia Hayward in the booth with me tonight. Olivia, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to see how this is going to go. This is one of the most iconic racetracks in the world. For anyone who grew up watching Top Gear like I did, it's maybe the most iconic from all of the various shenanigans they did here. And at more than 14 miles, with more than 150 corners to deal with, this is it's called the Green Hell for a reason. It's a nightmare to try and get around in any car, especially ones that are this difficult to handle. These are not built to run around these hills, but they're going to make it happen, and I cannot wait to see how this race ends up unfolding.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know a thing about this racetrack. You were just giving me a little rundown on some of the corners, and I hope I can retain some of that information. But you mentioned it, more than 150 corners, and to be honest with you, I'm used to four corners and a bunch of lefts. This is, 140, 50 more corners than what I'm used to, and it's got a bunch of rights. But these guys always put on a great show, whether we are on the road courses, whether we are on the plate races, and I'm excited to see what they can do. I've had this track for a grand total of 2 hours in iRacing, and I'm excited to see where this goes tonight. Qualifying is set. We're getting ready to turn them loose. So before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the starting grid. And starting on the pole, it is Aaron Smith. Samuel Stoner. He was quickest to practice for a while until Smith came around. Stoner, he starts second. Third place, it is Jay Bast. Evan Hoopchak in fourth. Fifth, Johnny Rapp. Dustin Bally will start sixth. Seventh, Mike Thompson. Randy Bechtel starts eighth. Ninth place, it's Laura Wiseman. And Chuck Labano starts from 10th.
It'll be Matt Schlosser starting in P11, and then Brandon Carl 12th, and behind them, a bunch of drivers who were going to be stopped by iRating because they couldn't get around all those corners without dipping onto the grass at some point during the session. We've got Larry Johnson, Daniel Ott on row 7, then we have Michael Truder and Sean Johnson on row 8, Peter Stewart and William Kinder behind them, and round out the top 20 will be Ryan Campbell and Tom Wient. The final three drivers in the qualifying order will be Levi Powell, Edgar Sancinelli, and Sean Campbell. But as the pace car pulls off here, you're going to see that I believe both Samuel Stoner and Jay Bast, the two drivers at the very front of the field, are going to be sent to the back and are going to have an awful difficult job to do trying to get back through the field in a track where you're doing your best to survive, and it's really you against the course rather than going for those massive overtakes. That might be a thing for the future race, I'm not sure. I know there's been some rule changes since the last road course at the end of last season. It looks like they are going to roll off on the front row, well, and second and third for this one. And so we'll get to see if they can bring any fight to Aaron Smith, who had the pole by almost 4 seconds, it's maybe about 9/10 if you steal it down to a normal-sized racetrack, but that is still a huge advantage, and clearly the number 70 knows his way around this place better than anyone else on the grid here.
Not a long warm-up lap at all. We're about to get the green flag as soon as the pace car pulls in. After about 30 more corners. There goes into the safety of pit road. Green flag is waving. And here we go. We're green.
Aaron Smith does take the lead and cuts down in Sabine Smith's turf, turn 1. He's gonna streak the field through. And we're just gonna be a little bit patient here, I think, is the key as we come through Criddlebacker in this opening sector of the lap. It's a nice, relatively easy start to competition here. A little bit of runoff available and some fairly lower speed corners, but then as soon as we come over this crest, it's all going to change. We hit immediately one of the fastest sections, the most treacherous spots on the racetrack. The run up through Floodplatz, Schwedenkreuz, and into the hairpin of Arenberg.
And I'm glad you know this track. Most part.
This is a tricky corner. You've got to just dab the brake in most cars and then stay to the left to open up the entry here, and then immediately back downhill to one of the fastest spots on the racetrack once again through Foxhole, having forced.
For the most part, I mean, what I understand, this is a very rhythm-based racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have ultimate confidence in both your driving and in the car underneath you. The moment you start to doubt yourself, you're going to start to back off corners in ways that you're not really used to, and that is going to end up causing a big incident for you. We see Aaron Smith, full control of the field, full confidence right now. And Samuel Stoner, to be fair, is holding on pretty nicely, but the question is how much is he having to wheel that Kodak-inspired machine behind to keep up with Aaron Smith, and how long do the tyres going to last? Of course, these stock cars are not necessarily built for long runs on road courses.
Oh! Stoner catching some air there. Got on the curbing a little bit. So far, everybody is still running. Sean Campbell might have a little bit of issues, but I'm impressed. Keeping an eye on my track map. If there was a 42 JCTV sponsored Chevrolet out there, I guarantee it wouldn't have made it past turn 2. Well, if I was the driver, that is. These guys, I'm impressed. So far, everybody did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect it to be such a clean start to this one. Everyone has sort of settled in, taken the challenge in the spirit that it's intended, being you versus the green hell, and now we're flying through the exit of Birdwatch and now up the hill here towards Bravery Corner, one of the fastest braking zones on the track, and this is where you can start to try and slipstream past with one of the big overtaking spots if you can get clear and, well, be more brave into the apex.
See a battle between Bali and Hoopchak kind of taking place. Hoopchak holding position, and Bali not far behind. See a little bit up the road, it's Jay Bass. Looks like the carousel there.
Oh, we had a big incident actually on the way towards the carousel. The driver's just a little bit too hot on the entry, and it looks like an incident for Levi Powell into the wall, and then Michael Kruger, a massive incident as we get in and collect a couple cars as they feed into that tight section.
Take a look back at the replay, see if we can get a good angle at what happened. Oh! Kruger locked up the brakes.
And I think one thing that you can forget at a track like this is just how difficult it is to try and keep it all in your head at once and remember what the flow of the track is through the next couple of corners. I think maybe we were expecting that high-speed section to continue for one or two more apexes and then suddenly into one of the slowest speed corners on the circuit. So that'll be his sprint race coming to a bit of an early end. We still have this battle between Borley and Hubchat. This is flying now towards the Stefan Bell S. This back half of the lap, very momentum based, and it's so important to stay close to the car ahead, even if you can't find an opening, because we're getting towards the more than a mile long Duttinger straightaway. That is going to be prime opportunity to try and slipstream past someone and make up some track position going into lap number 2.
Riding on board with Bali.
Those carousel sections are so tricky. That second one especially, carrying a lot of speed, about 70 miles an hour. And you just have to sort of hook it in and hope that it sticks and doesn't spit you out into the barrier. But now we head onto the Duttinger, get about 1.2 miles in length, just about 2 kilometers. The maximum the FAL let you get away with at this point in a accredited track. And I think it might be just a little bit too far back to slipstream up on this one, but further behind we have quite the battle between Johnny Rapp, Randy Bechdel, Mike Thompson, and then Matt Schlosser a little behind, hoping to maybe pick up the pieces. The street 1, 2, 3 down into Tiergarten and Hockenrein, and there's not going to be too much drama here, or maybe actually a little bit deep from Mike Thompson. Gets it stopped, but is now closed right up to the back of the number 19, going to start second lap of 3 in this sprint race.
You know, once again, with the exception of Kruger having some issues, and I believe Sean Campbell as well, these drivers pretty close in comparison relatively to another car.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Daniel Ott down the pit lane as well now. I'm not quite sure what's happened to number 29 there. But still a vast majority of the field keeping the car in one piece, and clearly haven't done a lot of practice for this round, but crucially knowing where their limits are and not overextending to cause those big incidents early on. And this battle pack for 6th place is a super intense race, and the moment any of these drivers put a foot wrong, it will just open up the door and someone's going to try and find the opportunity down the inside. This section, the foxhole, you run down the hill. This is one of the fastest spots on the racetrack, getting towards about 180 miles an hour. And then as soon as you hit the bottom of the valley, you're immediately having to start blowing the car up to get into Adna Forst here. And you can see Randy Bechdel a little bit overshooting, a little bit hot on the entry, but managed to get it gathered up, and Mike Thompson still can't quite find a way through as Johnny Rapp tries to pull away, but that slipstream is gonna bring these drivers right back into it.
And this track's so narrow as well. There's not a lot of room to go side by side here. Full body. Well, I should say just in general with any race car. Of course, this track not really designed for stock cars like this either. These guys, this is incredible.
And then miss here, and try and set it up. You've got to try and deal with those apexes in the manner that the name suggests. And then this hairpin, so easy to run wide, so easy to spin out on the brakes as well as you flick through that initial right-hander and then into the tight left. Drivers doing a great job. They're holding firm as they're going to come towards this bridge, and once again it's going to be exit of bird work that is going to really set up if someone to try and get a slipstream pass done on the way into bravery, and that's loose from Johnny Rapp there. Gathers it up, but you see that's how easy it is to lose out in a battle like this. The pressure from behind as you know you're coming up to one of these slipstream sections is so intense, and the 52 just not quite getting the exit there from X Muller, and all three cars just slot right through. Randy Bettel inherits 6th place.
Bechtel actually pulling away a little bit from Thompson.
And this is the thing, you think maybe he had that pace in the car but just couldn't quite get the qualifying lap, and now got that clean air, got that confidence. Just do a little bit of riding on the grass on the exit of bravery. He's got to try and stretch his legs and keep Mike Thompson at arm's length. I'm going to flick through towards the carousel, the most iconic corner on the racetrack, dropping down to maybe 55 miles an hour. And these drivers are probably quite familiar with how you have to hook into the banking here and just carry the throttle very gently through. That exit where it spits you out is very tricky to see. Matt Schlosser nearly lose the rear end of the car, coming back out across, and the crap falls away from you on exit.
Thompson has reeled Bechtel back in, and well, that's gonna help too. Bechtel gets into the grass.
You see he's out of rhythm now. He's struggling to get the next couple of corners hooked up. It's not necessarily a tyre thing at that point. You need that confidence the whole way around the racetrack, especially through this back half. And it's giving Thompson the opportunity to stick close, head through YouTube corner for the second time here. And Thompson's going to want to try and stay right on that rear bump and just slip straight back through at the first opportunity. Still a good long section left for Bettel to try and gather it back up and keep him at bay. But what a run that Thompson has here. He doesn't have anywhere to take it, but it's maybe going to force a mistake from the 19 like we saw out of the 52 just earlier in the lap.
Yeah, and how about the patience out of Thompson too? You know, there's times when, you know, experience or a little less experienced driver might just say, okay, well, the guy slipped up, I need to make the move now. But, you know, for Thompson, he is being patient. Right there, kind of another mistake almost by Bechtel and running wide through that carousel. You know, Bechtel could be feel the pressure.
Yeah, but Thompson's got a little bit of an awkward run through this final corner onto the straightaway. And in fact, could be under pressure here from Matt Schlosser and gets a great exit. They're going to be side by side coming through, and this is the real characteristic of the racetrack. It's really designed for endurance events. You are setting up, trying to get close, not to mention weaving through multi-class traffic most of the time. And then you're setting up for a move here. It's quite unusual to run sprint races here with how aggressive you have to be on taking every opportunity available, but I mean, it's one of the things that seems to be loved so much on iRacing, and these drivers absolutely loving the challenge here. Matt Schlosser ends up gathering it back up. Randy Bettel's a little bit deep through Hockenheim there, but it looks like going to be able to keep control of it as we are on the white flag now for this sprint race. And turn 1 can be a bit tricky. You can definitely lose control of the car. Everyone managing to keep it underneath them. And now feeding back through this sort of weave section to open up the final lap. And let's see what the 400 do. Up 4 spots from where he started the race. So looking to find some improvements. And I know that he's familiar with these sorts of road courses.
Schlosser putting the pressure on Bechtel. And Johnny Rapp kind of reeling these guys back in as well.
Yeah, and you saw the pressure just being too much. I think there's a certain point where you wasn't looking too much in the mirrors than at the track ahead, and Randy deciding that Schlosser had the run there coming towards Flugplatz, gave it up, but now Mike Thompson immediately asking if he can have the open invitation as well. He's going to let it happen, try and focus on fending off the 52, who has closed all the way back in. And the 400 is already a second and a half up the road, has absolutely got the pace in that Chevrolet, and looking to put the hammer down.
I'm wondering how much tire wear has come into effect so far. I mean, has Schlosser just been saving his tires, now able to turn it loose? I mean, kind of crazy that just ride back there, now all of a sudden he's just taken off.
There's definitely going to be an aspect of that, but also it's the question of what pace was available that you just couldn't find in qualifying. It's such a high pressure environment to set those quali laps, and dipping a tyre onto the grass will send you back down the grid in a way that it won't necessarily when you're in the race. This is our battle for 4th place, which has been sat in this very high position for the entire race so far. Justin Borley still hanging with about half a second, but I think maybe struggling a little bit for rear traction now and is sort of trying to intimidate Evan into a bit of a mistake through some of these corners, but Evan's not budging.
Both of these drivers put on a great show. Hoopchak and Bali. And so far, Hoopchak holding strong. Just like you mentioned, he's actually starting to gap Bali.
And this is the sort of section that you can use as a landmark to think of as the halfway point of the lap. So at this point, we've just got only about 7 miles left to try and decide this. You see the run through Bravery, Justin Boy getting on the curb a little bit through there, and it's not comfortable for the car, but you might just hold on to it and keep the pressure on Evan Hoopchak coming to this corner that it's so deceptively tricky. You're already thinking ahead to the carousel, and then it'd be so easy to make a mistake as Borley is struggling for that rear traction, it seems like. And here they dip into the carousel for the final time in the sprint race.
Ooh, Borley a little slide there. Didn't lose him a lot of time. He is still starting to close back in on Hoopchak. And, I think I'm going to use Sonoma as an example. And I'm not comparing the tracks by any means, but, come to Sonoma and you'll notice some drivers are really good through the first section and not as good in the second half of the track. That's only 11 corners long. That very well could be the case here. I've noticed with some drivers being able to pull away, and then they get reeled back in, and you've got to learn 100 and, how many did you say? 150 different corners?
154.
154 corners. Ain't no
And
way
I'd
I could
say
do that.
And I'd say that in general, the first half of the lap is a little bit simpler, and it relies maybe more on your general road course skills for whatever you're driving. But it's this back half that is really tricky, as it looks like Mike Thompson was into the barrier there, coming through towards the end of the lap. He's lost a few spots out of that one. But this back half, it's so confidence-based and so flow-based on your knowledge of the track and which corners you can really push the limits of and use some of those curbs, that I think the drivers that are putting a lot of work for this race specifically are finding gains in the back half and trying to use that to find an overtake coming onto the straightaway. It looks like Dustin Bowley is struggling actually on the exit there. Come onto the dirt for one final time, so Hubchak might have done enough to defend this 4th place in the sprint, but let's not forget we're going to invert the top 10 as we get into the feature, and suddenly it'd be Bowley who's looking to run away from Evan, and Seven will have to try and find a way to make the move. But Aaron Smith, by 13 seconds, is going to win this 3-lap sprint race around the Nordschleife. What a dominant performance from the number 70. And it'll be Samuel Stoner leading Jay Bast home to round out the podium.
It is close for 2nd place, too. It is close. But you mentioned it. Stoner over Bast. Hubchak does bring it home 4th. Followed by Bali in 5th. Driver slowly finishing up. It's going to be Schlosser, Bechtel, Ryan Campbell. Wiseman's already towed back to pit lane. Johnny Rapp. And that's the top 10. So Rapp will be on the pole for the feature race.
And he had good pace as well. Just made a couple of mistakes, but was running pretty good in that patch for the start of the sprint race. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Campbell, who gained 11 spots there to climb up to 8th, and Levi Powell gained 10, but is doing a full 1 short of that reverse grid pole. I will say we might be here for a while because, of course, the checkered flag's out, but we do still have Sean Campbell with maybe a couple of minutes left to go in contention, so we'll go through the rest of the field outside the top 10. Because it was Powell in 11th. Mike Thompson ends up coming home in 12th place. Ed DeSantinelli from the back row of the grid up to 13th, ahead of Brandon Carl, Chuck Libano, Tom Ween, and William Kinder. And then coming across the line just now is Larry Johnson for 18th place. But it's really an endurance battle here, and to have so many of these drivers stay within we had 12 drivers within a minute of the race leader at a track like this, that is genuinely impressive and a credit to this field.
Yeah, that is really incredible. Good for these guys to stay with it. Few drivers didn't finish the sprint race. It's going to be Sean Johnson, Michael Kruger, and Daniel Ott. Campbell's still out on track, but while Campbell is finishing up, Palmerack Golf delivers classic styles in a modern fit that allow you to move seamlessly from the office to the course to hanging with friends and family. Visit palmerackgolf.com today to browse their collection of fine golf apparel, including polos, pullovers, pants, and more. Let's go ahead and talk to Aaron Smith. And see what he has to say about getting around this racetrack. Hey, Aaron. Well, it was only 3 laps out there, but did it feel like an eternity?
Not really. I mean, when you're at a track with however many corners this is, it seems to go by pretty quickly. I almost wrecked the car there in that one sweeping left-hander. I overstepped a little bit. An issue I've always had at tracks like these in this car is just burning off the front tires, just leading with the fronts a little too much on entry, and I had them a little hot, and it almost caught me out there. So I'm glad I was able to bring it home. I'll keep that in mind for this feature.
Well, it was a commanding win in the sprint race for you. I believe it was 13 seconds over second place. But now you're going to be starting in that 10th position. So a track that is narrow like this, it's not really built or designed for these cars. What kind of patience do you think you're going to have to get from 10th right back up to the lead?
It'll take some sitting in traffic through the windier portions of the track, but once the track opens up a little bit for the straightaways, you can afford to make some moves. But yeah, you still have to be careful because it's really easy to slide out wide, especially on that first long straight with the couple left-handers on it. But I'll see what I can do. If I have the fortitude, I can make it through the field in 1 lap. Let's see if we can do it.
All right. Well, sponsor shout outs. Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the folks at the PT Autosport, Momentum Brewery, and all the folks here at the Road and Plate for putting this show on. Hopefully, I'll be back up there in a few minutes.
All right. Well, good luck to you. We'll see if we talk to you again after the feature.
10-4, thank you.
That was Aaron Smith, winner of the sprint race.
And that's a level of confidence that is remarkable. Threatening to try and cut back to the lead in a single lap is going to be difficult, but certainly got the pace in the race car. It's just going to be about how we can set up those moves. It's really about setting up for the exit, trying to get the car ahead off rhythm, and catching them off guard on the way out of the corner to try and pit them apart here. But he's going to have some stiff competition to get through. We saw, especially that pack of Evan Hubchak and Justin Borley, they were keeping each other honest all race long, and neither driver really crumbled under the pressure. So I think that is going to be a very difficult spot for the number 70 to try and pick through. I believe, again, Stoner and Bast are going to be to the tail end for the feature race, so they're going to have even more work to do to try and convert back into their podium spots. But I am really excited to see there's not going to be any pit stops for this feature. The cars are filled up to complete all 4 laps on a single fuel tank. But the question is if the tyres can hold up for some of these drivers and how they're going to handle that final lap on what could be some very tricky Firestones indeed. Firestones? No, they're Goodyears. I'm too used to talking about open wheel cars.
I wasn't going to correct you. Okay. So the top 10 are inverted. We talked about that. We do believe that Bast and Stoner are going to the tail end of the field. So that kind of puts Smith in 8th place. So we didn't do this in the sprint race. I kind of forgot. But I'm going to ask you now, based off what you saw in the feature race, who's your pick to win? Who do you think gets it done?
I mean, Aaron Smith is the obvious choice, but again, it's about how to pit through that traffic. I am going to say that Evan Hubchak's going to manage to hold on for that position, and the number 7 is going to end up taking it onto victory lane.
I think as long as he can keep it up front keep it clean. It's going to be Johnny Rapp. I mean, Rapp is really good. He's, a couple mistakes in the sprint race, sure, but I think Johnny Rapp can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the trap position is definitely a big factor here, as we're going to come under the Bilstein Bridge for what is the start of your tourist run when you get a chance to drive this track, pay about, I think, €30 for a lap, as it is just a public one-way toll road, essentially. You start there where the big car park is, and peel off once you get to the gantry. You're at the start of the Duttinger. But, of course, for racing, we're on a few more corners and speed to curve, quite fittingly, will be turn 1 of action once again for the feature race.
Base car's in, we're getting ready to go green. And it's out. Green flag. How about Laura Wiseman saying, no, I want the lead. And she takes it. Laura Wiseman leading the field.
Yeah, just managed to stay alongside down that very short start-finish straight, and then using the inside line through turn 1 and getting the position. It looks like a little bit further back we might not have had such a clean start. It looks like Samuel Stoner and Larry Johnson getting caught up in an incident on the initial launch that is just at sort of the tail end of the field, but at the front, yeah, Laura Wiseman doing a great job. It looks like Aaron Smith has gotten past Uchak for 7th, so that is both of our predictions not going so well so far, but still 6 more cars with 70 to work through. This is where he's going to try and set up Dustin Borley, a driver that was on offense all of the last race, now has a big challenge in that bright yellow number 70 Chevrolet. We'll see what Aaron can do.
Oh, lock up for... That's the 18 of Campbell. Ryan Campbell gets off track.
And I like there was a little bit of contact there with the Matt Schlosser in the 400. Coming through into that braking zone. But just got them both a little bit out of shape. And unfortunately it sends the 18 off track and down a fair few spots.
Let's see if I can get a better camera angle than that. Oh, there it is. And a lockup of the brakes. Smith has been able to get around Bali. And now Smith is hounding Bechtel.
Yeah, and forcing him onto that curb. That's a very tricky one, and now through this section coming towards miss, hit, miss. You can tell the 19's just not quite in that rhythm that he's going to need to be to defend this spot. But this is not the easiest spot to pass down in this hairpin. And in fact, there's a spin! And that could be a track blocker here. No, fortunately, Johnny Rapp manages to stay out of trouble. But that was a very tricky spot, and most of the field thankfully able to get around it. Aaron Smith actually has managed to get around Randy Bechtel in the aftermath. The number 19 just starting to fall back a little bit after running wide over the bridge.
He said he wanted to see if he could get the lead in the first lap. 2.1 seconds off of Wiseman. Already up to 3rd place is Smith. Still not out of the question.
As the slipstream.
Oh!
He's going to run wide and find contact with that arm-coated glancing blow and gets, I think, very fortunate there, but now needs to get it dialed down a bit for bravery here. And manages to keep that under control and is now put back under the bumper of Matt Schlosser, who was up 3 spots in this one, but Aaron Smith up 7 currently from a 10th place position on the invert.
The fact that really didn't do anything for Aaron Smith is insane.
I mean, it was just enough of an acute angle, and the car was getting a little bit slowed down by the grass as well, that he was able to just sort of redirect it like it's a...
Oh, Schlosser off track!
And that's how it's up to 2nd place now. 400 gathering it back up. He's going to manage to hold on to it coming through into this section. And it's this back half, again, it's so confidence-based, knowledge-based of how fast you can take each of these corners. Aaron Smith immediately able to pounce and is now putting the pressure on Laura Wiseman to try and complete the challenge that he set himself just a few minutes ago. If he can stay this close, then you've got to think on the straightaway. He's going to be able to slip through and, well, lead the way for the next 3 laps the way he did in race number 1.
And if you're Laura Wiseman, you're probably thinking, do what you did again, except maybe a little harder. Get away from me. I want the lead. Laura Wiseman doing a great job. I don't see a single scratch on that 70. Dustin Bally. Oh my goodness. There's a wreck. Schlosser and Hubchak. Say Bally got up to 3rd. Hubchak still struggling to get going. As,
and Matt just really struggling for sort of driving in this feature race, is just getting a little bit out of rhythm, it seems like, all over the place, and he's fallen down to 10th place. I think does have a fair bit of damage on the race car now. While we were watching that, you see goes wide, one car gets by, but still sort of struggling on that grass as you come into Sheldon spots, and just a little bit of side contact, but the cars are so loaded up through that corner that they just end up battering around, and both drivers losing a ton of time on that one. At the front of the field, let's not forget that Aaron Smith did pull it off. I think just got a nice run through out of the mini carousel and forced a mistake out of Laura. So Aaron leads lap number 1. The 84 looking, I think, to just try and stay in range and slipstream for as long as possible, because her fight is going to be with Justin Bawley, who is charging through the field from 5th on the grid and looking pretty confident behind the wheel of that Ford Mustang.
And I think if you're Laura, you know, it's obvious that Aaron Smith was going to be fast and challenge for the lead very quickly. But, you know, even Aaron Smith said that he almost made a mistake. Even Aaron Smith is not immune to the mistakes, and we did see him get into the wall once. If you're Laura Wiseman, you know, you just want to stay close as you possibly can to see if you can pounce on any sort of mistake Aaron Smith might have. I mean, he's very smart driver, but again, still not immune to mistakes.
Yeah, this track could reach out and grab you the moment you lose focus for just a second. Laura, I don't think needs to necessarily stay close. I think there is knowledge that no matter if you're on your own, that can easily happen. I think Laura's best bet is to just try and stay within what she's comfortable with around this track, and just try and hold that 2-second gap behind Bawley. And maybe if Aaron Smith gets a little bit enticed by a hot lap, maybe that'll be what opens the door once again for the 84.
Yeah, and I mean, even then, if you're Laura Wiseman, you still have a lot to fight for here. Dustin Bally, a couple seconds behind. It's not too big of a gap overall, but Wiseman still really can get a great finish out of this, and great point stay. Still a lot to fight for.
There's not yet. Dustin Bally really struggled to get around Evan Hubchak in the sprint race. So just because Bally can get within that 1 second and start to put the pressure on, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to force a move. He might have to hope for a mistake and put the pressure on. And Laura, it seems like, has been pretty resilient to that so far. Managed to fend off Aaron Smith for a good half a lap or so before he finally snaked his way through. So very much still in Laura's hands here, and Dustin has to find something special to get onto that second spot on the podium.
So quick update, we've had a couple of retirees. One of them is Sean Campbell. The other one kind of surprises me here that I see on the ticker of Mike Thompson. Thompson started the lap in 5th place. And so I'm wondering what happened to Thompson.
And it seems like it might have been a mistake coming up towards Floodplatz, and that is a big wreck for the 115. Bouncing like a pinball around in the runoff, and I think fortunate to take the solid result from race number 1, because that is just a very quick way for a run to get away from you here. I think it's just about on the brakes here, you've got to try and get it slowed down, but as you're sort of lifting off, I think the rear tyres just catch and lock up, and then you see, from the 57, that's Ed DeSantinelli on a completely blind crest, not knowing where the 115 is and wanted to try and use the whole racetrack. So, very unfortunate for the both of them. The 57 is still limping the car back around, but with absolutely nothing on the front bodywork.
That's not who I meant. Oh man, Sancinelli just trying to get slowed up.
I mean, and that instance happened so quickly that there's not going to be any local yellows out at that point. You're going to see the car go over the hill ahead of you, and then a few seconds later you arrive and he's still there, pointing sideways on the racetrack. That's going to bring it back round. The one benefit of this course is that it's a very short pit lane, sort of designed for car testing more than anything else. And so if you want to take that fast repair, it will be a very quick in and out stop, and then get back up and running for the final 2 laps of competition. It is Ryan Campbell in that number 18 Wood Brothers style scheme, trying to put the pressure on Randy Betdell, and how many times we said that one tonight, the number 19 really ending up as the gatekeeper for a lot of these drivers trying to work their way through the field. And we do a great job holding on so far.
These guys pretty close finishing up with the second lap. We'll be halfway through, and still a lot of corners to go. Looks like Ollie is closing in a little bit on Wiseman.
It's all about where you can close in, though, and trying to time it for those overtaking spots. I think Bolly just got a little bit of slipstream down the dirt and go, but not enough to actually get the move done. And this battle for fourth place is looking extremely tense because Jay Bast is now putting a ton of pressure on Ryan Campbell, and it can be tricky when you're the second car in line because you're sometimes having to adjust for the car ahead. That can put you off rhythm a bit, and then suddenly there might be a move from 53 to just sweep past and take advantage and get into the top 5. You saw nearly there through Quiddlebacker, and now it's going to be the run down to Flugplatz where we saw that massive instant last lap. Hopefully the drivers can keep it underneath them through here and continue the fight down towards the hairpin at Arenberg.
I think Campbell is doing a great job not letting the pressure from Bast throw him off. As Campbell is still focusing forward on getting right back up to Bechtel. Well, a little bit of a lockup there, I believe, from Campbell.
I think both of them sort of slid a little bit into the corner there, but I was able to get it stopped for the apex and to continue down. And this is another tricky section, and then you're braking super early here. You can throw it over that entry curb a lot, as you see, and then a very slow sort of double hairpin almost at the top of Adnar Forst. And Jay Bass doesn't quite get the run on exit, and in fact, as Randy Bettel is gonna give up on that pressure just a little bit, Campbell gets through with Bast following behind, but the battle for second place, Worley is now in striking distance of Campbell, and there's a mistake actually into the braking zone there. It just opens up the door for Borley, who is immediately in the right spot to take advantage. And that's the swap for second place now complete. Justin Borley 10 seconds behind your race leader in Aaron Smith, and Laura Wiseman now looking back once again 3 seconds to Ryan Campbell to try and defend from that duo, who are now released from behind Randy Bettel.
Still just super impressive out of Aaron Smith. I mean, at this rate, he can pull over, go catch a movie, get back out on track, and still be ahead. We'll slide there as soon as I get the camera on to Aaron Smith. Incredible job so far.
And it is always a little bit unfortunate when you have a driver who's just this dominant in a race. They don't tend to get that much TV time. And, of course, we'll hear from Aaron Smith again, and you can get the time in the booth that he earned in that sprint race, if he can hold on to this. But we're keeping an eye back on these battles, because Laura Wiseman isn't giving up on this fight for second place either. It's staying well within distance of Justin Borley, who is actually wide, coming through Bravery. That opens the door again for Laura Wiseman to retake second place, and these drivers both struggling through this section towards Carousel. And now it's going to turn into a 4, maybe 5 car fight with Campbell and Bast now on the scene.
Yeah, Bechtel not too far behind either.
Falling out of the carousel on the exit as well. So now under a ton of pressure from Ryan Campbell coming up through this section, and Laura Wiseman hoping there's a bit of fight behind. Borley is a little bit extracted in the mirrors, and she can try and pull away and solidify that second place. There's a little bit of contact behind, in fact. Jay Bast, it looks like, just misjudged.
Oh, that car's broken.
Not into Ryan Campbell, who, yeah, is going to have to try and run this one back to pit lane and take that fast repair. Might not be able to make it happen, and a real shame that's how the race is going to end, and that battle's going to end for Campbell.
Jay Bast, I think
it's actually getting onto the curb. I think just couldn't quite apply the brakes as confidently as Campbell was able to, and that is ended up what caused that mistake. Back at the front of the field, Dustin Borley though goes wide and is going to let Jay Bass through. Already on the radio saying that maybe an EOL for next week, but in the meantime, is going to try and hold on to this podium and maybe get the move done on Laura Wiseman as well as we come up through the Stefan Bell S towards the Duttinger in just a few corners time, and Jay Bast is right there and trying to put all the pressure on the number 84. And this mini carousel, this is the most tricky corner, and we saw Borley make a little bit of a mistake through the bid version just a couple of minutes ago. Both drivers keeping it clean this time. And the question now becomes, how strong is this slipstream going to be down the 1.2 mile straight? And can Jay Bass get the exit that he needs to slip past number 84 and lead this pack as we come to the white flag?
Jay Bass is there, staying patient though. Now taking a peek, side by side. Bass is going to complete the pass.
Yeah, I mean, stayed close enough. Nothing that Laura can do without potentially throwing both of their races away. Just has to try and do what she did the last time someone got around her and hold close and try and force a mistake out of the number 53. And, or maybe just try and hold on and consolidate that podium from Dustin Borley behind. A big battle now. On the start-finish stretch, in fact, it looks like Randy Bechdel still struggling for confidence and let Samuel Stoner through. Reminder that the 65 started at the tail end of the field from a penalty. In fact, as did Jay Bast. And so then they've all worked their way back up now to second place and sixth place.
And I bet Bast is thinking, if it wasn't for Aaron Smith, I'd be leading right now.
If it wasn't for Aaron Smith, this would be the greatest comeback the series has ever seen.
And I'll tell you what,
unfortunately, the number 70 is 18 seconds up the road at this point. Managed to break clear on lap 1 and has not looked back since. A 6:54 last time by. Jay Bast actually did match that pace on that last lap, but is just a little bit too far back unless a big mistake comes in here from number 7.
and I'll tell you what, you know, I know I went with Johnny Rapp, and I truly believe that Johnny Rapp very well had a great chance to win this race without some mistakes. But, you know, Jay Bass, had it not been for the EOL...
Borley's gotten around.
Yeah, I wondered, was there contact maybe? I heard something.
Both drivers got a little bit deep through Aaron Bird and Dustin Borley. Now rally crossing gonna completely take a new line through this section, and I'm sure skipping a good 3 or 4 of the 154 corners will end up forcing him to give the spot back to Laura Wiseman. Maybe he's gonna get away with it. Yeah, Jay Bass maybe could have taken the fight to Aaron Smith, but you gotta remember that did start at the front of the field in the sprint race and couldn't quite get it done in that first one. Aaron just seems to be so comfortable when he's at the lead of this pack and is not going to leave that margin open for someone behind.
Yeah. Both drivers doing a great job for sure. 16 seconds though, Smith. So far, still have half a track to go.
I mean, it was 17, so has been running faster so far this lap, but gotta wonder whether the number 70 is trying to take it a bit easier to not have a similar slide to the one he reported in race number 1. Dustin Borley still having to push to get around, or just keep Laura Wiseman behind, and has a bit of a slide there through towards this uphill section for the final time. Again on the curbs, coming through for Laura Wiseman. I just don't think she's quite within range to force a mistake from Borley now, and might be resigned to that 4th place as Borley up 3 spots, and Jay Baster from the tail end of the field. And then Aaron Smith on lap number 1 working his way up from what ended up being 8th place to take the lead.
And is Bolly able to do anything here with Bast? I mean, not far at all.
Yeah, Bass actually seems like made a mistake over the past few corners. Has fallen back away. And again, that up is like, you did it straight away, but there's so much car control required to get a stock car through there at pace. I think that's where Borley's closed back in and just needs to nail this back half of the lap, get within range, and then we've seen what's possible on Duttinger. If you're close enough, you can just flip by and there's nothing for the other driver to do. That is what Borley has to try and do to get the 2nd place.
Still a little bit of a distance. Bechtel is reeling in on Powell.
Yeah, has played a very patient race. I think coming to this one just hoping to pick up as many points as possible, knowing that it's going to be a heavy attrition sort of day for a lot of people. Ended up finishing 7th place in race number 1, is currently running in 7th for race 2. I think a pretty positive day for a lot of people. Powell, of course, didn't get the qualifying lap in that I know that he wanted. Started back in 21st in the sprint race, and then worked up to 11th, and now to 5th. Up to 6th, I should say. I mean, into final few corners. Vettel's threatening, and in fact Samuel Stoner as well, who worked away from the tail end, is on the back of Laura Wiseman, so potentially could see another move on the Duttinger here to finish out the race if Laura can't get these final few corners perfect. There's actually a little bit of off track from Dustin Borley, would bring him back into the fight through the mini carousel. They all get it fairly neat and tidy, but Stoner just a few tenths of a second back. Is he going to be able to get close enough to make that move down into Tiergarten to finish out this feature race? A little bit far back, we'll jump ahead then to the number 70, who raked his way through for the final time. No one else even in the same postcode as Aaron Smith today. Wins the sprint race and will win the feature, goes back to back and solidifies his position at the top of the standings.
That's just incredible.
Got a fight for 6th place here. Levi Powell is being hounded by Randy Betdell, but it doesn't look like he's quite able to get close enough and get side by side coming through. Is there any mistake on the brakes here? There is a reason there's a big tyre barrier on the outside, because it's very easy to find it. In the end, it will not happen. It was Jay Bast in 2nd. Borley held off Wiseman and Stoner for the final spot on the podium. And then Powell and Betdell behind 6th and 7th.
Everybody is kind of running solo. Those that are still on track.
I got a little bit of fight between Peter Stewart and Sean Johnson, just a couple seconds through as we come towards that compression. Car's able to take flight if you're able to have the confidence to keep the power down on the way in. I think in a car as heavy as it stops as slowly as this one does, it's a little bit more than confidence to try to make that one work. You see, tries to be a bit more cautious through there. But still, say, easy for the 91 to potentially make a mistake and invite Johnson back in on the run to the checker.
This guy's still quite a few quarters to go, but Stewart's going to get into the grass and hit the wall ever so slightly. This is why you still continue going until a checkered flag.
Absolutely. Great action all the way up and down the field. And 3 cars finishing under a blanket to finish out the top 5. And it looks like as Ryan Campbell's actually stopped on the... Oh my, Ryan Campbell money shifted the engine, it seems like. Coming onto the final straight and has given up a few more spots and ended up finishing off the lead lap. So that's given the spots to Stewart and Johnson from out of nowhere.
Wow. Well, Stewart's going to get to the line first, so Stewart will get 14th. Sean Johnson ultimately 15th, and it's only one more position left to claim here.
We invited a modified to the
Yeah.
Arca base there.
Yeah, it's most of these guys brought the Arca cars. William Kinder, he brought a Willen modified tour car. Good on Kinder to stick with it. You see that right front wheel? It is pointed to the right, and I'm sure Kinder can absolutely not turn that car. But good on Kinder to stick with it. So, that's it.
Aaron Smith enjoyed a nice beach vacation. Already got home, got into the lounging gear, maybe some Power Mac Golf attire to enjoy the race victory, and it looks like he's standing by, ready for another chat with us up in the booth.
Well, Aaron Smith, did you enjoy the nap?
Well, I don't know if you caught it, but at the end of lap 2, I broke the right front on my car.
Oh.
I clipped the wall in the final corner and knocked the right front. It felt like it was pretty deep in the wheel well. I don't know if you saw me sawing on the wheel at all in the last 2 laps, but I was 35 degrees to the left on the straightaways, so that wasn't ideal, but I'm glad it worked out.
And I'm sorry, remind me how you were still able to pull so far ahead of everybody?
Well, I got used to it after lap 3. Like it was miserable, but I mean, you kind of, the car by itself is miserable, so you can adapt pretty well to it. So I'm glad I didn't wreck it there. That was funny.
Well, I did not notice at all. That is incredible. But anyway, so you set a goal in the sprint race, and you said that you'd like to get the lead before the end of the first lap. You did it.
Yeah, I thought that was a little ambitious. I might have been laying it on a little too thick there, or at least that's what I thought during gridding. But yeah, I went ahead and did it. Everyone ahead of me made mistakes, though. It wasn't really on merit, so I'll take it. Like, I'll certainly take all the laps led. But yeah, it was a fun race. I'm glad everyone played nice at the beginning of that one.
Now, you mentioned that, there were some drivers that were falling off, making some mistakes. So how difficult was it for you to to stay patient. We did talk about that in the sprint race where patience would be a little bit more key. How difficult was it to kind of stay patient as everything was unfolding in front of you?
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that mindset where you absolutely have to get to the front as soon as possible, but after the first 20 turns, I saw the leader on the horizon, or a few seconds ahead of me, and they kept getting closer and closer, so I figured I'd just sit in line and wait for things to happen, and a lot of things happened, so I'm glad I didn't make any aggressive moves and put anybody into any poor places there. I'm glad we were able to run a clean race.
All right, well, 2 in a row so far. First 2 races of the season go to you. Well, features of this, and all in all, out of the 4 races, with 2 of them being heats, you've won 3 of them. So, really off to a hot start here. Sponsors, shoutouts, who gets it done for you in that 70?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the folks at Palm Rat Golf and the folks at Road and Plate for putting this championship up. I'd like to thank y'all for broadcasting, all the folks for watching. Looking forward to getting back at it at Portland next week. I love that track.
Sounds good. Looking forward to seeing you there. And, well, you go celebrate this win.
10-4, thank you.
That was Aaron Smith, tonight's race winner. Let's get second place. Livia, I believe you have Jay Bast.
I sure do. We welcome to the JCTV booth, and certainly an eventful feature race for you there. Sent to the tail end to work your way back through, and you certainly did. You maybe didn't have a repeat show of that at Portland in a week's time, but talk us through how it was working through all of that traffic at a track so narrow like this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely winded. That was an awesome race. Shout out to the entire field for putting up such a great fight. That was so much fun. Chuck has been trying to get Nürburgring on the schedule for a few seasons now, and I'm so glad that we've finally done it. I love this place, and this was just so much fun. Sorry to Ryan Campbell. I cleaned him out at one point. Probably gonna get another EOL at some point, so maybe we can try for the repeat next week of this back to front challenge. But yeah, this was absolutely incredible. But yeah, I'm brain dead after that one. This track is so tough.
And just talk us goes into a race like this. Of course, normally you're maybe just coming into the practice session able to get a feel for the track in the hour of qualifying that's available, but when you've got 154 corners, it's a little bit of a different matter. How familiar were you with this place coming into this week, and how long did it take to dial in the autocar to get it to do what you needed to do?
Yeah, I love this place. I've been shout out to Finish Line Racing. Last year we did the Nürburgring 24-hour and came second place. So I'm well acquainted with the old green hell. And yeah, I love doing it in stock cars too. I always run, street stocks and mini stocks. Everything that goes to the Ringmaster series is definitely on our rotation too. So I stock cars on Nürburgring is my bread and butter. I love these combos. And yeah, going through 150 odd corners, figuring out what gear you're going to be in with the H pattern. It's a lot to to focus your mind on for sure. But once you get in the groove, once you know what's coming up next, it's just so much fun. It's just a little bit of a roller coaster, and with all this horsepower, you could just get the rear to turn however you want, and it's just so much fun when it goes right. And tail of the field to P2. I'm still soaking it in. That was awesome.
You gave us an absolute show. It was fantastic to watch. So congratulations on that. And of course, before you go, shout outs, any sponsors. Who does it done for you today?
Yeah, shout out to 80bit Better, 80bitbetter.com. EV part picker, homebrew auto, TW3 liveries again. Tom Wendt does an awesome job painting just about every car in this field. And yeah, shout out to y'all up in the JCTV booth as well. I hope we put on a good show for you this week. And on to Portland. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I can't wait. A very new track to be a great challenge. So see how everyone fares. See you next week.
Thank you, thank you.
And it looks like we're going to have the 4th place finisher going to hop in for a quick word with Josh Kopp and Oliver Wiseman standing by in the booth.
Yeah, Laura. First of all, incredible start, starting P2 and immediately taking the lead, and getting off to a great start there, and ultimately finishing 4th place. How was it out there for you?
That was a lot all at once. I did not anticipate getting that good start. I mean, I'm glad glad I took it. Johnny, raced with him several times, and in his league and this league too. Got to thank him for keeping everything clean. It was a situation where I just didn't want to throw everything away for the sake of holding on. Excuse me. Holding off a nearly impossible challenge, which was Aaron Smith. Dude has a lot of talent and is a very clean racer. Gotta give my props to him. Congratulations for winning these races. I just have been in these positions so many times before where I have a good start and I hype myself up too much and I wind up throwing it away. So that was my main goal once things kind of settled down a little bit, was to get that top 5. That was my goal for tonight, was a top 5. And then as the race progressed, I wanted that podium. It just wasn't meant to be, but still, my best race in this, my best road course finish here. Gotta thank everybody.
Yeah, it was a great job, and off the podium, like you said, but still a great top 5. And it seemed like there were, just crazy battles around you throughout the entire feature race. One thing I do want to ask you about, so when Dustin Bally decided to go out there and mow the grass and cut a couple corners off, were you surprised that you weren't able to get past him, maybe with like a slowdown penalty or something, or what was going through your mind when that happened?
I mean, I guess my biggest thing there, was I just wanted to keep myself on, as Larry McReynolds would say, on the island, keep myself on the pavement. I did wonder about that, but I just played the hand I was dealt and did the best I could with it. And again, I'm very pleasantly surprised, but I'm really looking forward to see if we can continue this next week in Portland. Got some work to do. Got some practice to put in. But no, I'm not really sweating whatever happened with Dustin up there. He and I were both kind of slipping and sliding everywhere. So he'd go into the grass, I'd go into the grass. He'd go into the grass again, I'd pass him, and vice versa. It was a very fun race. I really enjoyed this so much. I was one of those weirdos that in Gran Turismo 5 and Gran Turismo 6, one of the first things I did when I could was take the stock cars out onto the Nordschleife, because it was the idea of taking the weird combinations and running with it. So I feel like that may have paid off all those years ago. And again, I'm sorry, I'm a bit long-winded here. Just
It's all right.
pretty stoked about my finish.
Yeah, absolutely. The floor is yours.
yeah, this is, I mean, my best finish for a road course in Road and Plates, which is the bread and butter of the series. So I'm very happy with this.
Well, that's awesome. Congrats to you on that. Sponsors, shout outs. I mean, who gets it done for you?
So, got to thank Dustin for running the league. Everybody here, they have welcomed me in with open arms. And I feel like I'm just one of them now. So it's really been a treasure finding this league and racing week after week. I have so much fun. Even when I'm down in 15th or 17th or 18th, I'm still having fun just looking up ahead and just seeing what I can do better and just having fun with the guys. Got to thank Panda Pink, my race team, Tom Went. Got to thank him so much for this awesome John Andretti tribute livery. Hello to everybody watching at home, supporting the series. Just thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Well, congrats on the top 5. And let you celebrate that and prepare for Portland.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you do too.
Thank you. And that was Laura Wiseman. 4th place finisher tonight here at this track. However it's pronounced.
The Nürburgring Nordschleife.
We'll go with it. What a race that was. I mean, Aaron Smith, yeah, he really didn't have anybody to race, but everybody else, I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, that was a lot of fighting, a lot of really well executed moves as well. We're of course expecting drivers to get it done on those long straightaway sections, but we saw a lot of mistakes being forced from sort of the cars behind picking a driver apart, which is always really fun to see on a road course, setting those up over multiple corners. And yeah, great work from everyone, especially the drivers that were able to cut all the way from the back of the field in Jay Bast and Sam Stoner to get up back into the top 5. And of course, we talked to Jay Bast on that 2nd place finish. So great show and great work from them.
Taking a look, we've already mentioned that Portland is next week, and you see the schedule there on screen. Of course, this was only just race number 2 of the season. I'm looking forward to Portland. It is the newest track on iRacing, as well as, I mean, these cars, they came out the same day, and that was only just a few weeks ago. I don't know how many weeks into this season that we're in iRacing, but it was not that long ago. So a track that not a lot of people really have experience with on iRacing. I've attempted to run a lap or 2 on it since it's come out, and I've not been successful. But I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys do on a track that is already super exciting. In general, so looking forward to that next week. Still plenty of action coming up on JCTV for the rest of this week, though. We've got you're gonna have to remind me, Olivia. It's the
A special stage Joker series with some quite crazy action. That'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the plate version, in Dallara IO18s tomorrow night, and then we kick off the Championship 4 in the BSR Amsoil Truck Series. They head over to, I believe, Iowa Speedway for the first of a 3-round championship fight where everything's on the line. All 4 drivers on equal footing there. So let's see who can take supremacy in the opening stage of championship battle.
And should be a lot of fun both nights. Excuse me, tomorrow night and Saturday night. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those play out as we get to them. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As always, I really do mean when I thank the drivers, the fans watching, and the admins, of course, because seriously, without any of you guys, this would be pointless. And Olivia, thank you for hopping in. John's absence today is his wife's birthday, so happy birthday to Kylie Canfield. Hope that it's been a great one for you. And so on behalf of Olivia and the entire outstanding crew at JCTV, I'm Joshua Copperl, signing off, saying so long, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.